amazing parents. Hey, it's Jana Poppy in here because we're talking all about head control and tummy time and how better head control actually starts in the pelvis. So when you have really good freedom of movement in the pelvis, you have really good head control. So you can increase your child's ability of head control by exploring movements of the pelvis in really safe ways. So the Anat Baniel Method is based on using slow, gentle movements to access the potential of your child's brain. So we're more of a learning-based modality that uses movement to slow, gentle movement to fill in the gaps, the missing pieces that your child's brain might be missing to create those larger milestones, those larger movements. A lot of our kids who have a genetic disorder, my daughter has a genetic disorder, or a brain injury, often miss out on all of the millions and millions of tiny movements and experiences as babies to that support and create those larger milestones. So even though my daughter lay perfectly still on the floor for the first 6 months of her life, she didn't have those random baby movements. She was not exploring how her weight transferred through gravity. She had no idea. She had arms. She had no idea she had legs. Her brain didn't have that information because she lay perfectly still because of her condition. So she missed out on millions and millions and millions of tiny little movements to help her brain create the larger milestones of rolling over, sitting up, etc. And now the fascinating part is, even though she missed out on those millions of movements, her brain still figured out how to come up into sitting, and how she even knew how to start walking. But because it was based on very little experience and very little movements, her walking was unbalanced. Her walking was uncoordinated. She couldn't step up onto curbs. She couldn't. She had no options for variation in her walking. It had to be a completely flat floor with no shoes, nothing to step over when she first learned how to walk. So backtracking and getting her down on the floor, exploring movements, slow, gentle movements, those tiny movements that she might have been missing, to create those fuller and fuller movements, allows her brain to collect that information so she can be more coordinated, so she can be more balanced. So she does have more balance and coordination. During these movement lessons, we're giving quality information to her brain to fill in those missing gaps that she was missing when she was a baby. Okay, so I hope that makes sort of sense. Now we're going to be focused on talking all about tummy time and head control during this week and next week. So that's what we're exploring in the membership. So I do have online support for parents, showing them simple movements that you can do at home to give your child that input of those little tiny micro movements that they might be missing to create those fuller and larger movements. But I wanted to pop in here today and show you something really, really simple and easy that you can incorporate if your child doesn't like tummy time. I will also post a link about the case against tummy time. If there's anything ABM practitioners are passionate about, it's usually the case against tummy time. If you're putting your child into the tummy time position before they're ready, before they've experienced the connection of their head and their pelvis, you're kind of setting your child up to have a really horrible experience with tummy time. So brains learn their experience, and if they're just not ready for tummy time, if they're not able to put themselves into tummy time, if they're not rolling over onto their stomach on their own, then chances are they're not quite ready for tummy time. And there's things that you can do to get them ready for tummy time. So often, if they're not rolling over on their own to get into tummy time, then that just means they're missing out on these tiny little movements to help get them there, for their brain to organize them to get them there. They're missing information, quality, tiny, minute movements of information. And you can give their brains those tiny, minute information in really safe accessible ways. So brains learn best when they feel safe. And often kids who aren't ready for tummy time and they're placed in the tummy time position, they don't feel safe because their face is smushed into the ground. They're just not ready. And so what are they learning? They're learning their experience of tummy time is really hard and my face is smushed in. And if they don't have that head pelvis connection yet, then they're really going to struggle in tummy time. Okay, so I wanted to show you some modified positions of tummy time that you can try during your everyday life at home if your child is ready for this. So hold on. If your child is comfortable in your arms, so this is a really easy position that most of us caretakers find ourselves in with our kids. This position here, like the snuggle position. So I like to think of the pelvis like a ball, and I usually cup my hand under their sit bone like this, under the pelvis like this, and often our kids need a little bit of head support, so I gently put my hand here so their head doesn't flop back and forth or backwards like this. And this is a perfect position to explore the connection of the pelvis and the head. So the pelvis, you can think of like a round ball, is connected to the head, another round ball, through the spine. And if your hands are like this, so I'm connected to the pelvis, I'm thinking of it actually like a little round ball. I'll get my little ball out, and I'm thinking that the pelvis has the potential to roll around in 3 dimensions like a ball. Okay, it has the potential. And that movement, that freedom of movement, influences how the head moves. And you can see this very clearly you can feel it on yourself. So when I roll my pelvis, you can see my pelvis. If I roll my pelvis back, what happens to my head? My head sinks down. And if I roll my pelvis forward, my head pops up. So you can feel this yourself on yourself. And that's the part of the connection that your child needs, that connection between the pelvis and the head through the spine that they need before they're ready to roll over on their own and be on their tummy. But you can gently explore the movement of their pelvis in this nice snuggle position that's quite, feels really safe to them and is pretty common if your child is comfortable in this position. So have your hand underneath their tush like this. Think of it like a ball that has the potential to roll around. And when the more you lie down inclined, so maybe you're on your couch or a chair, slouched in a chair or something like this, you can play around with allowing your child to feel the weight transfer of their head over top of their pelvis. So you can see their head is lined up with their pelvis right now. And I can play around with moving their head more forward over their pelvis. So I'm moving forward. I'm using my own body, so she's really snuggled in. I'm using my own body so she feels safe, her brain feels safe to experience this new experience of the head shifting forward over the pelvis. I can shift her head backwards over her pelvis. Again, I'm thinking of the pelvis like a ball. I'm kind of holding it like a ball, feeling the relationship of how her head shifts over her pelvis. You could go to the left. So I'm feeling how the head shifts over the pelvis to the left and over the pelvis to the right. You can even change hands if you wanted to, right? Really get into it slowly and gently, making sure there's no, their head's not thumping around, right? So you're keeping them safe, supported, really going slow. The slower you go, the more awareness they're going to be able to feel in themselves. So these movements, you can think of not as doing something to your child, but trying to bring awareness to themselves. So I'm trying to give her the opportunity to explore herself, how her own head moves and shifts in space over her pelvis. And I'm exploring, what does her pelvis do? Can I feel any movement in her pelvis? What do I feel when her head goes forward, when her head goes to the side? And I can roll around like this, like a ball, feeling her weight shift. Even the doll is shifting weight. Does her pelvis move with the movement? It might not, right? It's more trying to bring awareness to her own movements. So I'm going really slow and we're having fun, we're exploring. Maybe I'm going to give her a kiss on this ear and maybe I can shift and give her a kiss on this ear, going really slow. I can feel her pelvis moving this way as I'm kissing her and talking with her, bringing her awareness. Okay, so that's something simple that you guys can try at home, going really, really slow. And what you're doing is you're giving their brain quality information, these tiny, tiny little movements of how their pelvis is connected to their head, and giving them the space and the opportunity to feel how that weight shifting of the head and the pelvis can influence their movement. So give that a try today. If your child is comfortable in this position and you're comfortable in this position, give this a try. Slow down, have a hand on the head, have a hand on the tush, thinking of the pelvis like a ball that could roll, that has the potential to roll, and experiment with transferring the weight of the head around the pelvis and feeling that connection. If there's any movement in the pelvis, and let me know how it goes. Let me know their reaction to it. Often you'll see them become internally aware and interested in what you're doing when you go really, really slow and be really supportive. So, this would not be supportive. They might, their brains probably won't be able to kind of connect to themselves when they don't feel supported. But when you're chest to chest, all snuggled in like this, you're giving their brain a chance to really feel and connect to themselves and feel that weight transfer themselves, right? So you're looking to give their brains quality information and connect to themselves. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. Let me know how it goes. Give it a try today, and we will see you in the next video, okay? Okay, bye.